This problem is actually a good problem. It gives us a slightly different look at things, okay? So if you got stuck, maybe I can get you unstuck by giving you one conversion factor that I want you to use, okay? 1.609 kilometers equals 1 mile, okay? That might help you out as you're going through this, okay? So this one behaves very different from the other examples that I've done before, okay? So one of the reasons is that when I do my question mark and then my unit is actually a ratio. It is itself a conversion factor, okay? Which means that I'm probably going to start with either a conversion factor or a division problem, okay? Now, one of the things that you might see is I changed it from this, meters per second, to this, meters over seconds, all right? Now, one of the problems that I see a lot in chemistry is I see a lot of people write things like this, okay, and not realize that this is really the same thing as writing this. Hence why I don't really like writing it like this. I like writing it like this, okay? But that's just a crazy Mr. Ryanism. And, you know, while there is method to my madness, I'll admit there is a fair amount of madness in there as well. Okay? So I've got the setup that I need. And the next thing that I'm going to do is my given, which in this case is miles per hour. Okay? Now this is a conversion factor, right? This converts between hours and miles. And so what I want to do is I want to, it's okay to start with a conversion factor here because what I'm looking for is another conversion factor, okay? So I could do now either the miles to meters or I could do hours to seconds. So there's like a distance component on top and there's a time component on bottom. And it doesn't really matter what order I do these in because it's multiplication and division. We're going to move left to right. We're going to get everything in there anyway, all right? So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this miles, okay? So I'm going to put my miles down here, and I'm going to use this conversion factor that I gave you. I'm going to put kilometers up top, okay? So 1.609 kilometers in 1 mile, okay? So now my miles go away, and I'm in kilometers, but I need to go to meters, okay? So I'm going to put my kilometers on bottom, and I'm going to put my meters on top, okay? Now, another very, very common problem that I see is people not knowing this conversion, or ones like it, okay? I had you memorize some mnemonics to remember the conversion factors, but the bottom line is you just got to get them down. And you especially have to remember which one's bigger, okay? Meters are smaller than kilometers, okay? That's how I always remember it, right? I think about running on the track, okay? A meter is pretty small. It's like 2 or 3 steps, right? A kilometer is pretty long. Like if you run a kilometer, you've almost run a mile, all right? So meters, there are going to be more meters in 1 kilometer. That would make the size work out. So there are 10 to the 3rd meters in 1 kilometer. Okay? So that gets rid of my kilometers, and now I can go into the time. Okay? So I'm going to put my hour on top. Whoa, Mr. Ryan, what? Okay? I'm putting my hour on top because I want to cancel out with the hour on bottom. That happens sometimes, all right? The sort of tips that I gave you were for standard setup. This one's not a standard setup. You're not going to see a lot of stuff like this, but once you understand the basics of dimensional analysis, something like this isn't going to throw you for a loop, okay? So 1 hour, 60 minutes, okay? And then I can do, I can put my minutes up top. Sorry, cancel out my hours, okay? And my seconds on bottom. Now I just have to fill in my values here. So this is 60 seconds and 1 minute. Okay? Now I can cross off my minutes, and I'm left with meters on top and seconds on bottom. So those are my unit answers, or my answer units, okay? Which is exactly what I'm looking for, so yay, that's awesome. All right, now, how about how we put this into our calculator, all right? So I'm going to start out with my 70 times 1.609. Okay. Now, when I put this into my calculator, I can put this in as either E3, okay, second E3, or I could have put it in as 1 E3, because remember, this is really the same thing as saying 1 times 10 to the third, okay? Either way works, whatever is more comfortable for you, all right? Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is this is actually going to be division, right? So the next thing I'm going to do is divide by 60, and then this is also division, so I'm going to divide by 60 again. And then I'm going to hit enter. Okay? And I get this. Now I have to go back and I have to figure out the number of significant figures that I have. Well, this has 1 because of how I wrote it. There's no decimal place, so the trailing 0 isn't significant. So this has 1. Okay? This is a definition, right? There are 1.609 kilometers in 1 mile. That's infinite. That's infinite. That's infinite. That's infinite. Okay? All of the metric definitions have to be infinite. Okay? So the limiting significant figure is 1 from this first number. So in order to express this number as one significant figure, I could really just write it as 30 meters per second. Okay, I don't really need to write the 1 down there. It's just 30 meters per second. All right, and there is my answer.